bem-vindos ao estúdio AgriNews Play, diretamente do espaço do Simpósio Brasil Sul de Bovinos de Leite. Eu estou recebendo aqui o Thiago Baldissera, da Epagri Lages. Seja bem-vindo, Thiago.
Obrigado.
O Thiago foi mediador da palestra do Dr. Ralph Lodges, da Universidade de Kiel, sobre como conciliar produção de leite e sustentabilidade com o manejo de pastagens. Na prática, o que muda na fazenda e no bolso do produtor. E eu já vou partir para a primeira pergunta para o Dr. Ralph. How can forage mixture help make production more stable and sustainable? Can it be applied for C3 and C4 species in warm climate?
I think definitely. But first of all, it's clear that we try to combine different species which have different ecological niches. So we need some species that have very deep roots. We also need species that have very fine roots so that they make use of the soil, water uptake and nutrients in all depth. Plus that there are clovers that fix nitrogen, that add new nutrients, as well as then we have different plants that have different types and directions of leaves so that they can utilize the photosynthetic active light very good. So this in reality gives higher yields, and some of the species are very highly digestible, like the clovers. This also gives a lot of quality. And yes, the principles can be used all over the world. We will publish soon a paper in Science with 6 different species. But the question is if it is the same species here. Some species may work here, like for example, plantain, or what I've seen very successful here is this hybrid C4 species. I just know the variety Tifton there. Interesting thing, especially here, when you have the normal grass, the Italian ryegrass, and then in between this is also mixed and multi-species.
For farms that never used legumes, which species do you recommend? When should it be planted? And what is the most common mistake during establishment? How can we tell it integrated with the grass?
It is, of course, also under our conditions a big topic. We just send in an application to our ministry to help us research that we can tell the farmers how to do. I'm not too much into species that may work under the Brazilian conditions, but I've seen that the white clover is a typical species, extremely good for grazing, and then can make the grass sward very dense so that it's good for the cows to walk on. I've seen red clover, but this becomes a little bit difficult because it is more or less a bee or 3 annual species. So this we need to reseed again and again. But red clover, we are totally convinced of it. And this is, of course, a concept which also is used here in Brazil with grazing. You can graze it really sharp, but there always needs to be a few green leaves left. And then it can tolerate a lot. So, and then there is the birds for trefoil that might be good, and subterranean clover. But important is the acidification of the soil. The pH has to be in a very good thing, because that's what the bacteria, the nodule bacteria, need. And when they produce nitrogen, they decrease the pH. So we often use coated seeds, for example, and then of course in the establishing phase, the concurrence or the pressure from the grass should not be too strong. Definitely, one has to decide what one wants. Not more than 100 kilograms of nitrogen, 50 kilograms of nitrogen. But then we have to make the decision what we want. And if we want to address more nitrogen, then the clover has no chance.
How important is the pasture management, and what target do you use for grazing management? Also, is it having implication to nitrogen fertilization and for reducing total nitrogen use in the farm?
Yes. So for us, it is absolutely important that when we apply grazing, we can do it for animal welfare reasons, just for jogging. But when we want to have this cheap forage resource that also is environmental efficiently, we have to have professional grazing management, and that is for me rotational grazing, always offering a new strip after each milking. But after 2 milking, already make a back fence that there can be a regrowth. We have to have water troughs available so that the cows don't stand on one place where they can cause damages, and where they then also make all the dung and urine patches. There is then where the leaching is. But when you force them to use the whole area, this problem is better solved. And then it depends, of course, nitrogen fertilization should be strategic. In our regions, the clover first start when it's getting warmer. So we apply a little bit of nitrogen when the vegetation period starts, and when the clover awakes, we stop it because it's often then counterproductive.
If we only have 1 month to start, what 3 simple commitments should a farm make to begin a productive and sustainable transition?
It's very difficult because I had 2 farmers I'm working very closely together. Both had 200 cows, and then they suddenly said they want to do grazing. When they have all year round calving, it is so complete. Difficult. After 1 year, they were in transition to block calving to make this management clear. So we have to be clear about this. So potentially, like we do in the barn, we have to have separate groups. Suddenly the farmers had 2 groups, those high in lactation, those low in lactation, and those with low in lactation, they got a day and night grazing and everything was fine. But definitely we have to focus that we also can have this professional management, because it also may help that with seasonal calving, that suddenly there's 1 month, or there are some months where you don't have to raise calves. And the calves in these systems are extremely healthy, so there are a lot of advantages. But first of all, try to have extremely good infrastructure. No small stones, no wet pathways, and then potentially have multi-access possibilities to your fields, that they're not always taking the same road, that they can come from the side. That should easily be possible.
Do you think milk production based on grazing is a worldwide way to produce milk and be sustainable?
I should think so. There are a lot of things to consider. We often start also with ethnical aspects. The cow is the perfect animal to transform grass, which we can't eat, to valuable protein. We have a lot of natural grasslands, so we should try to use them if possible for dairy cows. And then if these dairy cows have excess calves, they should be beef on dairy, and then we have cattle we could use for beef production somewhere else. But of course, in some regions, it's difficult because we don't have the area around the farm. In Europe, they are thinking about mobile milking robots, that the milking robot follows the cow to the pastures. But the thing is, once you have invested extremely much money in your barn, you have to pay back, and then farmers feel it can't pay off. But of course, in some regions in Ireland and New Zealand, it is an extreme profitable way, but we have to learn to handle the environmental aspects. I don't know if these countries want to hear, but they have problems with nitrate leaching and N2O emissions. But I'm sure they are taking actions there. This has to be sure that it's a real alternative. So for me, it's the natural environment for a cow. I think our cows are happy. That's important. And when you have a good system, it is fine. And but it's really a problem once you have invested. And sometimes I have to say there are a lot of people earning money on farmers, but they earn less on farmers that are professional grazers. So you have to trust as a grazing farmer, as a pasture farmer, in yourself and say that you want to earn the money. But of course, we also need helping hands, that's clear. But it's hard to say. I see it as an alternative. And in the end, the customer has to decide. The more they buy and demand milk from grazing, the more they get.
Tiago, já sei que a palestra do Dr. Ralph foi muito prestigiada e a gente tem um monte de pergunta que não foi possível de apresentar durante o evento. Você as traz aqui para a gente complementar o que foi dito lá na palestra.
Sim, claro, Priscila. A gente teve um público extraordinário prestigiando o professor Ralph na palestra dele. Muitas perguntas, talvez até daqui a pouco na sessão de perguntas a gente não vai conseguir fazê-la todas para o professor Ralph, mas eu vou aproveitar esse último gancho que ele nos deu aqui, né? Ele falou muito bem para nós as questões da produção forrageira, como a gente deve diversificar, usar multiespécies, como isso é importante para a sustentabilidade, né? Mas no final das contas tem um aspecto também cultural e econômico aderido a toda essa questão. Se os consumidores estão comprando, estão demandando que tipo de produto, que tipo de leite, que tipo de, né? Já que estamos no simpósio de bovinocultura de leite e o leite a pasto, né? Segundo leite a pasto. A questão então os consumidores realmente estão demandando mais produtos que adressem, tragam a questão de sustentabilidade e a questão de bem-estar animal e como que ele enxerga isso no futuro. Então, acho que é uma questão importante. Eu vou colocar, então, para o professor Ralph essa questão. Professor Ralph, just was making a short review that you told us, the question about diversity on production, the sustainability, but finally, you addressed the question of consumers.
Yes.
So, are people demanding or not more products that are sustainable and that use more animal welfare? And how do you see consumers in the future? They will really pay for this? They will really demand for this? How do you see?
In Germany, we have in each supermarket, besides of organic milk and traditional conventional milk, there is this animal welfare milk. It has a market, and in Germany the total milk consumption has decreased, but the shares of animal welfare milk and of organic milk has increased. So there are people there, but they are the same type of people that also jump over to the vegan products, the plant-based things. So that's why I am, as an integrative farmer, half arable, half dairy farmer. I'm happy. So I have my cows, and they fertilize the field for oats, and then the consumers can decide if they want to put milk on the oats or if they want to make oat milk of it. I see these trends also in the US, but it is always, does it need to be more expensive? And that is the dilemma. Irish colleagues, New Zealand colleagues, and ourselves, we say we can produce milk cheaper this way. Mm-hmm. We showed it, but when stick too much to the old system, only having the cows out a few hours per day just for animal welfare, then it can be expensive, and then these products have to be more expensive. So yes, we have to see. But animal welfare does play a role, but the price is more often the real argument. We had a kind of economic crisis in Germany, and we directly could see less organic milk, less animal welfare milk.
This is important because as we are talking about developed country as yes. Germany with very high economic question, but when we go for countries like Brazil or yes. other development countries, this is a question, the price of the product.
Yes.
So we have people that are worried about questions, but they need access for the
yes.
product.
Yes.
So what do you bring that, yes, we can have low cost with high sustainability
yes.
production. Só repassando um pouquinho a questão, né, sobre temos uma economia forte na Alemanha que talvez tenha consumidores, mesmo na Alemanha tiveram questões econômicas que diminuíram o consumo, né, de orgânicos, por exemplo. E no Brasil, como os países de desenvolvimento, a gente tem a questão de acesso ao produto. So,
I can see these arguments, and of course it shows that even if we consider Germany as a rich country, only 5% of the milk is sold organic, and potentially 2% more is animal welfare. So here a lot of people have more money, but they have other ideas to spend this money on. And of course, these should then not complain too much. And then sometimes it's funny, they would use special products, special brands, which have no guarantee for animal welfare, but it's known and they buy it, while they could have bought cheaper organic milk.
But so finally we can send a message for farmers and for technicians that we can produce with low costs
yes.
and with sustainability and make money.
Yes. I see it that way, definitely. I also seen in here in Brazil examples of farmers doing it, being happy, having this rotational grazing. Of course, this combination with the C4 species, the cows looked like ours, and everything was then fine. Infrastructure was good, and I guess that they. Also by avoiding problems like we saw in the second talk today, mm-hmm. with a lot of trampling and no good, all wet barns and everything. If we avoid all this, I guess we can be there, that it does not need to be more expensive, because all the investments we can avoid. And I guess that even concentrates are extremely expensive here. compared to potentially grass.
Ótimo.
Feito, Thiago. Representou? Conseguiu representar as perguntas de todo mundo?
Com certeza. Como eu falei, foram muitas perguntas, né? Mas só para complementar, porque várias delas você já fez e que nos ajudou, mas tivemos um bom panorama do que o professor Ralph veio nos brindar com sua presença e com sua palestra.
Parabéns ao Nuclivete pela organização da programação, por trazer nomes tão importantes. Eu estou fazendo as entrevistas por aqui e estou vendo a qualidade dos palestrantes que vieram para cá, compartilhar informação, conhecimento, visões de fora, né? São pessoas que são referência. Obrigada pela generosidade de estar aqui comigo, ajudando aqui na entrevista com o professor Ralph. E obrigada a você que nos acompanhou. Para continuar acompanhando as melhores entrevistas do setor, não esquece de se inscrever no nosso canal. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much that you gave me the possibility here to come to your beautiful country. I liked it. And all the fruits I only knew from our supermarket, they were here on the trees. And in the end, I thought, apples, that's maybe something we can, but then I came to a part of this stage where thousands of apple trees were growing. So, okay, it's a nice country. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Professor.
Thank you.
Obrigada, pessoal.